Yeah, well, it's just gotten started, right? And so I got into town yesterday in time for Jensen's keynote. They did a financial analyst Q&A as well, and I think the biggest thing incrementally coming out of the keynote, obviously, was the details he provided on Rubin. He said it's in full production, which does suggest that they're on track, should be well on track for a second half launch and ramp. And frankly, just given some of the metrics he gave it looks like a monster, right? So this may be part of the reason that AMD is more incrementally weaker today relative to NVIDIA, maybe partially because of that. But I thought that was fantastic. There's been worry on and off, as you tend to get with NVIDIA, product delays and everything like that. It looks like everything at this point is pretty much smooth sailing, and like I said, the specs that they laid out on Rubin, which I wasn't expecting them to deliver at CES, it looks really, really good, I think.
So twofold on that, Cece. A lot of people were thinking for 2026, maybe you rotate out of an NVIDIA, but they seem to be coming out with a full, kind of reason not to. But you think that their ability to outline some of those metrics is why AMD might be underperforming today?
It may be there. I think there's also incremental worries on PCs. You talked about some of the memory names. I mean, memory prices have been skyrocketing, and there's some general worries in the consumer electronics space, items that use memory, PCs and smartphones and what have you, that there could be weakness there. And I don't know that we saw a ton of new stuff like come out on the PC side that would give people more comfort on that. So I think with AMD, it's probably a combination of the two of those of those things. As it relates to NVIDIA, though, I mean, you're right. Like the stock has kind of stagnated for a few months. There's been GPU versus TPU and OpenAI versus Google and all these kind of worries, but at the same time, there's clearly an upward bias, I think, to NVIDIA numbers. The specs that they're putting out, the timing of the product runs, I think this 2026 is going to be a very good year for them. And the stock is quite inexpensive given the growth trajectory. I don't know where it's trading now, probably low to mid 20 times forward earnings. It's by far the cheapest of any of the AI names, and I mean, it's their game to lose. I mean, it's their space. They're the clear winner at this point. And so, yeah, I'm thinking this year is probably looking pretty good for them.
Last year, I wrapped up with 2 in-depth NVIDIA videos. When I was creating films for what's next for NVIDIA stock in 2026, I assumed there wouldn't be any updates regarding NVIDIA for some time. Then, after completing its investment in Intel, I stated that NVIDIA fulfilled a significant 2025 pledge. This is a thorough examination of that partnership. At that time, I assumed January would be peaceful, but I was completely mistaken. During CES, NVIDIA made the bold decision to make big announcements. It almost seems as though the business will have nothing more to share at its own GTC conference in March. The business even went so far as to introduce Vera Rubin, their next generation of GPUs, something it typically saves for GTC. What's the rush? Is NVIDIA under pressure from AMD's Helios rack system, which is also scheduled to ship this year, or is the bubble poised to burst? I believe that Google's TPUs and AMD's Helios have caused NVIDIA to change course, and it is evident. Bank of America analyst Vivek Arya and his team attended NVIDIA's CES 2026 keynote and financial analyst Q&A. A session on January 5th. In a research note sent with us after the event, they revised their assessment of NVIDIA stock. According to the team, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang revealed the new Vera Rubin AI platform and mentioned the ongoing very high demand for AI computing. The event's highlights were recognized by analysts. With 5 times the token creation and 10 times the cost reduction annually, AI scaling is still on track. The Vera Rubin platform will get 6 new AI chips in the second half of 2026, according to the announcement. A novel pod-level context memory storage platform was introduced by the corporation. Today, NVIDIA still operates all of the major LLMs. The modernization of AI and the change in R&AMP. D techniques will provide funding for AI. For workloads with very low latency, the Grow-key/SRAM arrangement can be advantageous. Beyond LLMs, AI is expanding into physical AI. Although there is a demand for H200 in China, licenses are still pending. According to CNBC, an intelligent and cautious observer will see that the analysis team must have missed the fact that Google Gemini 3 was trained and is operating on Google's own TPUs. Despite its superior, greater than 35% EPS CAGR and upwards of 40% free cash flow, The team noted Nvidia is trading at only under 19 multiple price-to-earnings ratio, or in line with the larger S&P 500 index, demonstrating its sustained supremacy in AI computation, networking systems, and ecosystem. Arya reaffirmed his buy recommendation and the $275 target price, which is within Nvidia's historical forward-year price-to-earnings range of 25 to 56 and is based on 28 multiples of his estimate for the price-to-earnings ratio, excluding cash, for the calendar year 2027. The 6 new chips that make up Nvidia's next-generation AI Rubin platform were announced. All 6 of the Rubin platform's chips, the Vera CPU, Rubin GPU, NVLink 6 switch, ConnectX-9 Super IC, Bluefield 4 DPU, and Spectrum 6 Ethernet switch, use extreme co-design. The demand for both training and inference in AI computing is skyrocketing. Thus, Rubin comes at the perfect time. According to Huang, Rubin takes a huge step toward the next frontier of AI with our annual cadence of delivering a new generation of AI supercomputers and extreme code design across 6 new chips. Join our investor community. Hit subscribe and like to get your daily Nvidia stock insights and tutorials delivered. Additionally, the business introduced its Alpamayo collection of OpenAI models, simulation tools, and datasets for the development of reasoning-based autonomous vehicles, AVs. The company claims that the Alpamayo family brings human-like thinking to AV decision-making by introducing chain-of-thought, reasoning-based vision language action models. The ChatGPT moment for physical AI is here, Huang said, when machines start to comprehend, reason, and act in the real world. Among the first to gain are robotaxis. The basis for safe, scalable autonomy is Alpamayo, which gives autonomous cars the ability to reason through uncommon situations, drive safely in challenging situations, and provide an explanation for their driving choices. Although recent aggressive expenditures raise questions about capital allocation discipline, Nvidia is still a compelling AI growth story. Beyond its present cash flow, Nvidia has committed more than $145 billion to investments and acquisitions, including a $100 billion agreement with OpenAI and a $20 billion deal with Grok. The market for AI chips is expected to reach $1 trillion by 2030, so there is still a lot of room for growth, but more significant agreements could reduce shareholder profits. Consensus analysts predict more than 50% growth over the next 2 fiscal years, yet the company is only trading at 25 times future EPS forecasts. Nvidia is now spending the majority of its funds on acquisitions and investments, despite the market's expectation that businesses will make significant investments in the future due to the massive AI possibility. An investor should be concerned about the AI chip company's recent announcement of a significant talent recruitment. My investing thesis is still very optimistic about the chip stock, but one must be cautious when making extravagant bets. Around Christmas break, Nvidia made the audacious announcement that it would be purchasing a virtual firm. The AI GPU behemoth has already made significant investments and acquisitions on a regular basis over the past year. In actuality, the company paid $20 billion for a license to utilize Grok's chip technology while purchasing the resources and personnel responsible for just the chip division. Grok has apparently made significant progress in inference processors, and the CEO was the original developer of the Tensor Processing Unit, TPU, for Google, which is owned by Alphabet. Nvidia may encounter regulatory problems because the Grok deal appears to be more of an acquisition than a non-exclusive licensing agreement, according to a former regulator on CNBC. The concerning aspect, however, is that in the final week of 2025, Nvidia closed a $5 billion investment in Intel, agreed to spend $20 billion on Grok, and may be nearing a $3 billion purchase of AI-21 Labs, for a total of $28 billion in agreements. This year alone, Nvidia has committed to investing more than $120 billion in a number of significant AI firms, including the significant $100 billion agreement with OpenAI. In addition to its investments, Nvidia has undertaken numerous acquisitions, the most notable of which was the $20 billion purchase of Grok. Many of these transactions are smaller and have unreported prices, but because there are so many of them, the sums are beginning to stack up. Nvidia has committed to more than $145 billion in investments and acquisitions overall. Even though Nvidia has a thriving AI chip business with enormous margins, The company is only expected to generate $213 billion in sales annually for FY26 or 2025, with gross profits that are close to the level of investment and acquisition commitment, indicating how much money the company has spent in the past year. Conversely, similar agreements, such as Grok, may assist the business repel rivals in the field of AI inference. Grok's yearly income was already projected to reach $500 million, and Google has begun recruiting outside clients for their TPUs through a significant $10+ billion agreement with Anthropic. Although Nvidia is making enormous sums of money, the business intends to spend it equally quickly. In an indication that insiders perceive value elsewhere, management is swiftly shifting from repurchasing shares to investing operating cash flows in other companies. The AI chip company's cash balance increased from $43 billion in the previous October quarter to $61 billion by the conclusion of the third quarter of 2026. Nvidia's net cash position is only $52.5 billion because it still has debt levels that are comparable to that of $8.5 billion. Nvidia has spent over $5 billion on capital expenditures and earned $83 billion in operating cash flows over the last 4 quarters. Additionally, $42 billion has been spent by the corporation on stock repurchasing and associated stock plan taxes. However, Nvidia has only spent $1.4 billion in cash on acquisitions thus far, and it may have spent an additional $5 billion on equity securities. Basically, a lot of money hasn't been spent yet. The Intel agreement is closing in the December quarter, and Grok and OpenAI will require significant financial outlays in the future. While OpenAI costs roughly $10 billion per gigawatt on a 10-gigawatt transaction beginning in the 2H26, Grok will cost $20 billion right away. Every dollar of operating cash flow is promptly invested in assets to guarantee that Nvidia maintains its position as the industry leader in artificial intelligence, thereby diluting the company's financial gains. Investors should concentrate on the cash flow statement's investing section going forward. Furthermore, any additional transactions will only intensify a troubling trend in which Nvidia consents to spend all of the money that comes in. Because of the significant growth story that is still developing in the AI chip story, the investment story is still optimistic. The stock is inexpensive, trading much below analysts' growth estimates. Based on data from Nvidia, the industry is now predicting that the AI chip market could reach $1 trillion by 2030 and possibly 2028. The upside might be huge, since the leading AI GPU has just made slightly more over $200 billion in sales this fiscal year. Consensus experts have already predicted that FY28 January revenue will surpass $400 billion. Only 25x forward EPS objectives are used to trade the stock. Over 50% increase is anticipated over the next 2 fiscal years, according to consensus analyst predictions. In comparison to the anticipated growth rates, the AI chip leader is incredibly inexpensive, but the amount of capital is no longer supporting the stock. The acquisition of Grok by Nvidia indicates a gap in the inference chip market, and the $100 billion investment in OpenAI raises concerns about the ChatGPT operator's financial difficulties. In order to reward shareholders, Nvidia must reassure the market that it will generate enormous cash flows rather than using the funds to acquire customers or stifle competition. The business also has to deal with investing all of this money on AI, which some people believe is a bubble. Naturally, Nvidia's stock will decline if the AI chip market doesn't expand as anticipated, since it won't meet its financial goals, and the investments will lose value because they were overpaid for during a bubble. The main lesson for investors is that, although Nvidia has a fantastic growth story in store for the upcoming years, the business is unable to enter the market with any more significant investments. Even at these prices, investors should keep buying the stock, but further significant cash withdrawals should raise concerns about AI. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.
Let's please talk about energy, electricity, power supply, call it what you will. In turn, for each of you, how worried are you about it as a bottleneck? And what is your experience day to day in running both companies in that respect?
Well, energy should always be a bottleneck for any industry. And this is a new industry that's growing incredibly fast. As you know, AI is both a technology that's going to revolutionize many applications, and we're talking about some of them here. But the AI industry itself, the manufacturing of the artificial intelligence takes energy. It takes energy, it takes AI factories. It's exactly the reason why from Hopper to Blackwell, we increased energy efficiency by 10x. From Blackwell to Rubin, we increased energy efficiency again by 10x. And that translates directly to our customers' revenues, because in the case of an AI factory, whatever factory size you have, you're limited by the power. And that power, within that power constraint, you want to have the most tokens or most AI per watt that you can possibly generate. And so every time we improve energy efficiency, we're effectively improving both the AI capabilities for our customers and their revenues, because they're always constrained by power.
The response to your keynote, and forgive me, Roland, 1 minute, was, Vera Rubin, 10x throughput, really important. Tokens generated at 1/10. But they'll still say, hey, Jensen, what if the electricity's just not there? It's not available.
Well, there's electricity. There's never enough electricity.
And my question is, what is the anxiety level for you both about that issue?
There's always energy. There's never enough energy. And this is every industrial revolution will be energy constrained, and this industrial revolution is also energy constrained. Now, one of the most important things, though, here speaking about the United States, if not for President Trump's pro-energy growth agenda, we would have a very hard time growing at all. In order for a new industry to emerge, you need energy. And so I think it's safe to say that we wish we had more energy in the United States. Europe wish it had more energy. I think the world all wish we had more energy. And so we have to invest in all sorts of different forms of energy. But whatever energy you have to make it as energy efficient as possible. And that's one of the reasons why both of us drive our technology roadmap so hard, because every single new generation of technology is more energy efficient than the last. That's kind of the nature of it.